Exhale, half pigeon. Pull it on through. Half pigeon is a 7 shape in your hips. Let your head and your heart rest down. So for the next 90 seconds, you get to hold a pose that opens your hips. If this doesn't feel good on your knee, you could just side saddle it. Go more onto your right butt cheek. If you do have a block like some of my demos, you can also put a block under your booty or your head, a little hip support. As long as you feel a stretch in your outer butt cheek, you're doing it right. I noticed throughout my pregnancy that I'm having a lot of cautious optimism. And that's a good thing. Like all of us as we get older, we experience life. And for me, it's this dichotomy of wanting to celebrate something like a baby, but also being cautiously optimistic because of hearing so many stories of things that didn't go exactly as planned or didn't go so right. I'm sure that you can relate to me in a little way that you've got something going on that you're hopeful for, but maybe you don't want to let yourself get too hopeful. Just in case, or whatever the hell your mind is saying. I'm in a unique position to be seeing hundreds of people every week, and so the stories that come to me, the experiences, both good and bad, they can feel heavy sometimes, make me a little bit cautious. But if you think about it, caution is the opposite of joy, right? Certainty is the opposite of joy. In our lives, we have to take risks, and as a kid, we take more risks just because we don't have experience to tell us that it's going to hurt. But as we evolve, we have to balance both the risk, the reward, the incredibly joyful, and the incredibly debilitatingly sad. Yoga asana, it gives us a chance to lean back in. To say, okay, I can balance both. I can hold my emotional spectrum and still live my life to its fullest. We call this unlocking potential, choosing empathy and balance. Just crawl up to your palms. We're gonna take this into a tabletop, but keep the kind of the half pigeon that you've got going on. Here. Then slide your left knee behind. We'll make it a cow face. Either sit slightly back like I am. I can't go all the way back. If you can go all the way back, sit on your bum. Julie can do it good. Yep, separate your feet. Maybe, yep, Kim's got it. Maybe you sit on your foot. Whatever you're doing, your knees stack like totem poles, like little things up the totem. And maybe your booty has space on the ground. Let your head rest in any way that feels right and get the outer hips to stretch open. So does cautiously optimistic mean that we have to be like that the older we get? The more experiences we go through, does it feel like we have to kind of kilter or hold back in some of the joy? One of the messages I hope that you take from this class is that you're allowed to feel exactly what you want to feel. You can feel happy on days and you can feel sad on days too. But our ability and experience to grow those feelings expands. Inhale, roll yourself forward. Right leg high, 3-legged dog. Shake it on out. Exhale, switch your legs. Lift your left leg to the sky. Half pigeon, pull it all the way through. Don't should on your feelings. Let them come up, but also let them pass. We hope that we can stop carrying old feelings into new experiences. Someday when the world is much brighter, child, things are gonna get easier. Child, things will get brighter. Child, things are gonna get easier. Recently, I was inspired by an interview with Maria Popova on one of my favorite podcasts, 10% Happier. She talks about our capacity for joy, the ability to hold the emotions that we're talking about here. She said our capacity for joy is not turning away from sorrow, But instead, it's just choosing where you put your focus. It's seeing what's also there alongside the sorrow. Seeing joy and gratitude alongside of the caution. For you to have survived to this point where you are right now tells me that you found portals to joy. And our job as a yogi, as an adventurer in this life, is to keep revisiting them. Resisting the compulsion of certainty, because certainty is the thief of joy. We think what we know, the outcome of a relationship or a project or something we embark on because we've done it before, or we've seen other people do it before. But when it doesn't come to pass as we thought it would, it's the greatest gift, something we would never seen otherwise. Some sideways gleam into a part of ourselves that was unbefriended before. The trick is to remain open to what's possible out of the limits of our own imagination. We don't know what we don't know. Taking it slow into tabletop and cow face, just slide your right knee in behind the left. Sit further back if you can, even if it's just like a half child's, half cow face. Get the outer hips to open. Surrendering those outer hips in a way that your inner thighs pull up. Our muscles are a great example of this, actually. Think about the way that your inner thighs have to contract so your outer thighs open. We can hold both contraction and spaciousness at the same time. Our muscles are the perfect analogous part of us that can say, hey, watch me do both, contract and expand. Watch me hold both feelings. And then inhale yourself through down dog, kick your left leg up to the sky, shake that tension out. Get a lot of space here, breathe in. Then exhale, legs forward, drop to your booty. Let's roll all the way to your back. And if you have a block, you can take it with you. We're going to do a little supported bridge. Lift your sit bones up to the sky and slide your block or your pillow under your sacral area. If you don't have it, it's okay. We're going to just hit broken bridge in a second. For me, the block feels really good on its flattest level for the most space around my sacral area, but if you want to take any height, that's up to you to feel that differential. Then let's knock your knees together, wiggle your feet wide. As your knees knock in, feel your inner thighs zip up nice and strong. The wider your feet are, just like that initial wide down dog we took, the wider your feet are, the more space happens on the outer thighs. The contraction of that sciatic nerve, it gets a little stretch from your hip to your knee. If you don't have a block, that's perfect. You're still in broken bridge just without it, so your back's on the ground. Take your right knee into figure four across the left. So it's a zigzag sensation where your knees are draping to the right and your feet are to the left. If it's intense on your low back, you can always get rid of the block. The block is going to make it a little bit more of a hip flexor opener, so it does intensify your ability to open up the hips in the front, right? It's a deeper back bend. Now notice what happens when you squeeze your left butt cheek. Can the squeeze be an opportunity for you also to open the front, holding both the squeeze and the release? When I was journaling on this concept earlier this week, I said to myself, since the day I was born, and for thousands of years prior, bad things have happened in the history of mankind. 120 billion people have walked planet Earth, and there's 8 billion now still walking, with all the fear and the stress that could cripple them. But the goal isn't to avoid those crippling fears, but to find joy alongside of them. To forgive, and forgiveness is the second chakra. Forgive old parts or old experiences of yourself. And remember that you don't know what the future holds. It's uncertain. You pretending to know is only hurting the joy of the present moment and its possibilities. Gently switch your legs, other side. I like to think about Netflix or Hulu, you know, on your streaming service where they have that because you watched section. You'll notice the algorithm is really smart. It suggests, like films and shows, movies that you have watched before that are kind of similar. Your brain, your thoughts, and the universe work the same way. The more you create momentum and energy around a certain way of being, the more that way of being comes to you. We've all been told stories in our head, like about who we are, based on other people's experiences or our own. Things like, oh, I'm not a good sleeper. Oh, I hate to exercise. Oh, I've always been tight. Oh, I'll never be organized. I'm not comfortable at parties. I've never been great at relationships. I suffer from head trauma or depression. But these are not stories that are necessarily true. They're just ones that have been on repeat because you watched before. Come through center. If you have the block, remove it and pull both knees into your chest. Squeeze up into the tiniest ball you can, pulling into this little space. Inhale, inhale. Shavasana or corpse pose, maybe even legs up the wall, something that's comfortable for you to lie still for the next minute. Be dead in your body so that there's no tension. The stories we tell ourselves are no more true, except to the degree that we've repeated them and made them our personal calling card, than their opposites. Every day as a yogi, we're not just practicing mobility and strength, but we're also practicing seeing the good alongside the bad. Anytime my inner critic comes up, especially about fears of what could happen, I ask myself, but what if it did work out? What if, even though I know all the bad stories of the way it can't, I also considered the ways that it could? The hard truth is we have to heal by paying attention to the role we play in our own suffering. And at the end of the day, you're the only person stuck in your head the rest of your life. I think we should keep going and keep building just to see what happens. For the final moments of class here, watch the flow of your thoughts in and out. Take on the opportunity to hold on to the thoughts that feel good. Acknowledge the ones that don't, and let them pass. You're gonna hear what sounds like waves coming in and out. It's called ocean surf with thunder. It's got water from the sky and water from the sea. It might feel nice to link your breath, allowing the tide to pull in on the inhale and the tide to pull back out on the exhale. See if the flow of the water can take out any sharp edge in the mind or the body. To keep relaxing into the sound. But if you're ready to wake your body up with a little bit more ease, press up to a seat in your own way. You can roll through fetal pose, which is a really nice balancing pose for the second chakra. Everyone having started in fetal pose, it's a very uniting place that's nurturing. You can always take a sit up and just meet us too. And with your palms at your heart, acknowledging all the work that you do each day, to find your balance. Your natural state is balance, and your heart comes back to it whenever you give it the chance. To that, we bow forward. Namaste. Namaste. Good job, you guys. Great work, Julia. Way to bring some joyful, playful stuff into our practice today. You too, Rocky. I guess you were fine.